Yeah, it's the 84. You got that? The 84 YZ250? Okay. And you ever heard of, you know about that too? All right. Just checking. No, Sue, it's the, no, just a random share giveaway tonight. Yep. See how nice that tank came out? I got it back from Brian cutting it today. Came out beautiful.
We're live.
You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. On tonight's show, here's what we got coming up. The starting line. We're going to have a next time try this segment. You're really going to like it. It's about how to mask off triple clamps, prepare them before you're going to paint or powder coat. The Moto Showcase. Is it an AJS? Is it a Honda? It's a bike that Doug Grant built. It's for sale. We're going to be showcasing it tonight. Here's the problem. We've got some great questions that came in from our viewers last week. We'll be addressing all of them a little bit later on in the show. What's it worth? An 84 YZ250? A really, really nicely done bike. I'm looking forward to showing it to you. And race day. We had Oscar Gayton out at Redbud this weekend. Live coverage coming up. All that and a whole lot more on this night's episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Abadi, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you, Jordan, Chelsea, and Susie, for helping me put the show together. And thank you, the viewers at home, for joining us again this Wednesday night at 6. Don't forget to keep sharing the show. We'll have a random share giveaway winner a little bit later on. If you're sharing the show on YouTube, please comment Motion Pro. And if you're on Facebook, well, you just keep sharing it, and later on, somebody's going to win a real nice gift from one of our sponsors. It could be Vinco. I'm not sure who it's going to be yet, but you're going to get something really good. And don't forget to keep subscribing to our YouTube channel. We've got all the shows that we've ever done on the YouTube channel. You can subscribe to get an alert like this, and all the interviews and a whole lot more new things have been added to our YouTube channel. So please subscribe. How are the pros watching the show? They're sitting back on their couch. They're commenting through their phone. They're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A on their big screen TV. And that's how the pros, that's how the experts are enjoying the show. And we hope you'll do it that way too. Keep commenting on all the segments that we do. We'd love to hear from you. And speaking of hearing from you, keep the cards and letters coming in, folks. The bikes for the Moto Showcase, we always appreciate that. Also, your comments, all of your questions, you can inbox me at Vintage Motocross Q&A. I'll be sure to get them on the show. I want to thank our sponsors, Vinco, Motion Pro, Preston Petty Products, Racer X Magazine, Sunrise Vapor Blasting, Golan Products, Full Circle Racing, and of course, Northwest Mako Steezy. Tonight's Next Time Try This segment is brought to you by Vintco. Keep the ride going. Tonight's tip is for you guys who are getting ready to either refinish or especially if you're looking to powder coat the triple clamps of your bike. My tip is this: make sure you mask off inside where your fork is going to go through the triple clamp. There's two reasons for that. Number one, if you're going to be powder coating, it builds up kind of thick in there and makes it a little more difficult for you to get the fork back in when you go to put your bike back together. And then before you know it, you're going to have a stubby screwdriver like this stuck in here trying to pry it open. Don't laugh. You know you do this. I've done it too. So mask off the inside of the triple clamp like this before you prime, before you paint, especially if you're going to powder coat. Tell your powder coater that you want that area masked off and you don't want any powder coat in there. When you get done, you'll have a product that looks like this. Neatly painted, nice and clean inside, and you won't have any problem getting your fork back in. One more point I'd like to make, and it's another reason why you don't want to have paint in this area. Forks on a vintage bike are not very rigid. They're small forks, sometimes 34, only 36 millimeter. When you go to turn, you want to have as much rigidity as possible. You don't want a nice chrome fork tube in there against some paint or powder coat. It's going to make it even less of an area that's really going to have a grip on it in the fork. So make sure you mask it off like that, whether you're powder coating or painting. Thanks, Vintco. Keep the ride going. This is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. We'll be telling you more about Preston Petty in just a minute. In the Moto Showcase tonight, a very interesting bike sent in to us by Doug Grant. You may remember Doug. He was a factory AJS rider in the 70s, and this bike Doug built special. It's an AJS with a Honda engine in it, and I just wanted to share some information on the AJS factory with you people before we go into it. The company was founded by Joe Stevens in Wolverhampton, England, and after the firm was sold, the name continued to be used by Matchless and a couple of other associated motorcycle dealers, including Norton and Villiers, on their four-stroke motorcycles until 1969. The name was resold in 1974, and the name AJS is still used today on some smaller bikes over in Europe. At one time, the AJS company held 117 world records. Now, back to Doug's bike. The HJS, as Doug calls it, is a hand-built bike using a Honda XL350 engine. He bored it out to 412. I handmade the aluminum engine mounts. I installed it into an AJS Stormer frame. It's either the lightest, best handling XL Honda on the planet or the torquiest, easiest riding AJS ever built. And right now, this bike is available from Doug Grant. He does want to sell it. He's asking $7,500 for it. He's ridden it in a lot of AHRMA Nationals. I know he's captured a few #1 plates with it over the years. So you can contact Doug Grant at douglasgrant001@gmail.com or contact me and I'll get you Doug's information as well. But I want to thank Doug Grant for sending in this bike, an HJS. Very interesting, Doug. Thanks for sending it in. And as I was saying, Preston Petty Products with another great little special going on this week, the extended mutter with the taillight. In front of it, you can see the smaller mutter, good for your motocross bikes, for your dual-purpose bikes and your enduros. You want to get the extended mutter with the taillight, just $112.95 this week at Preston Petty Products. Here's the problem segment. Is brought to you by Motion Pro for your specialized tools, cables, and controls. Be sure to visit them online. Jordan, what do we got up first? Steve Schultz, can you recommend a clear coat that is durable for lower fork legs and also gas resistant for a spray painted race bike tank? And Steve asked me about this. The email was a little bit longer. He wanted to know if he can get something out of a spray can, and you can. It's a really good product, and I'm going to be doing a review on this. We're making a video of it in the coming weeks. It's called Spray Max 3680061. It comes in an aerosol can. It's a really high quality item, okay? You can, what you do is, it has a hardener in it. And you break open that hardener right in the can, you shake it up, and you spray it right out of the can. It's really, really good stuff, and you can use it on a gas tank. It is gas resistant, but it's got that thickness to it that when you get done, after laying a couple of coats on real nice onto something like a lower set of fork legs or something like that, it'll really give you some durability. It looks really, really nice when it goes on the bike. So look for Spray Max 3680061. I think they're available on eBay, and I've also seen them, of course, at your local auto body supply dealer. Really, really good stuff. And I'll be doing a video on it in the near future. Jeff Christopher, any advice of softening the rubber straps that hold my plates on my 1974-75 Honda CR25? They just seem to be about impossible to get on right now. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Jeff. And if you go to put them on, even if they're reproduction straps or if you have a U set, sometimes they can harden up. Now, here's what you're going to do. If you have a new set and they're kind of pliable, but you're still having a difficult time getting them through those little holes on your 74, 75 number plate, you're going to boil some water, bring it to a boil, and drop those rubber straps in there for about a minute, just about a minute. Take them out with a pair of tongs. Obviously, you don't want to burn your hands. Then take them right over to your bike. You're going to be a lot more pliable, and you'll be able to pull them through those holes a lot easier. In fact, what you could do is bring your plate in where you have your boiling water. Once you take it out, you could put one right in right away, then get out, mount it up to the bike, and pull the other one in as well. An added tip here. If you have an older set of those straps that are still in pretty good condition, but they're a little on the hard side, what you can do is put them in a Ziploc bag and spray them with silicone. Really coat them really, really good. Let them sit in that silicone in that Ziploc bag for a day or two, then follow up with the boiling water treatment that I just told you, and you should be able to get them back into the bike again. But when they're old ones or even new ones at times, it can be very, very difficult. The boiling water trick absolutely does work. Thanks for the question, Jeff. Stu Jackson, can you discuss cleaning chains and a good lubricant for them? I can, Stu. And for the longest time, way back in the old days, many of us cleaned our chains with diesel. Some of us did it with kerosene. Now today, a lot of people don't want to go out with the price of fuel the way it is and spend that kind of money just to clean their chain. A lot of companies, or a few in particular, have a chain cleaner that comes in a can, but it's rather expensive. It's like $21, $22 for an aerosol can to clean your chain. And it doesn't really make financial sense. What I'm going to recommend is this, and you've heard me talk about it before. For 20 bucks, you can go out and buy a gallon of WD-40 and a spray bottle. WD-40 is absolutely fantastic for cutting grease and oil and anything that has any kind of glue in it. It's a kerosene-based liquid. People think it's used for a lubricant. It is a temporary lubricant on a hinge on something that maybe is a little sticky, but is not the be-all and end-all as far as a lubricant goes for a chain. You want to use WD-40 in a little pan. You can really lay it onto that chain, scrub it with a soft grass bristle brush, and you'll get everything nice and clean. Another great thing about it is if you've washed your bike and you didn't take the chain off before you washed it, the WD-40 will push out the water. It does dissipate the water. Then after you get done with that, you can use a great product like AMSOIL, chain lube, to get the chain lubed once it's back on your bike. But that's a really cost-effective way to do it, and it's easy to get rid of too. And you don't have to go out and spend $5 for a gallon of it, or maybe more in your area. Thanks for the question, Stu Jackson.
I'm Doug Grant. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jeff at Motion Pro, showing you our Bead Pro combination tire tools today. Now these are a very innovative tire tool in that they are multifunctional. They both are great for breaking the bead of your tire as well as spooning the tire on and off the rim. Now we have two versions. The first is the standard Bead Pro. These are forged 7075 T6 aluminum in construction, very lightweight for tool pack use. And then we have the Bead Pro FS, the FS standing for forged steel construction. Now these are great for shop use. They are a little bit longer, so you have more leverage. They're 16 inches long versus 9.8 inches long for the standard versions. Now the geometry of the tools are about the same between the standard and the FS versions, but as I mentioned, the materials are different and the lengths vary a bit. Now they have a nice ergonomic feel in your hand, and this cross T feature keeps your hand from slipping as you insert the tool into the bead of the tire. And on the one end, you have this innovative tongue and groove feature, which leverage the tire off of the rim. It easily breaks the bead on both off-road wheels and tires, as well as street applications, even those with large safety beads. Now the opposite end have this nice smooth spoon profile, which easily brings that tire up and over the rim to bring it off and then spoon it back on. These are affordably priced, so go ahead and pick one up for your tool pack as well as for your shop use. They're available from your favorite power sports dealer nationwide.
Another great tool from Motion Pro. Our good friend and field correspondent Oscar Gayton was out on the road this week for a race day segment. He went to Redbud for the AHRMA National, and let's take a look at what Oscar Gayton saw when he was out at Redbud this week.
We are at Redbud for the AHRMA Nationals. Woo! Redbud!
Hello everyone, it's Oscar Gayton here at Redbud for the AHRMA National, and I try to get some pit coverage later on today, and track's looking good. Just hope the rain holds off and we're good to go.
I'm walking through the pits and I find Sam Hudgens with a really cool post-vintage Mako 500, and I'll let him explain where he found it and a little bit about the bike.
I found it up in Pennsylvania, and I still had it in a crate from when they had bought it. The dealer had purchased it, and they never sold it. And I put it together, and it's a 500cc water-cooled disc brake, and it is just a beast.
And it is not the smooth traditional Mako power. Is it a little?
No, the power's smooth. There's a little bit more of it, but
okay.
It is a smooth transition off of the mid-range.
Okay.
It's not erratic or anything. It's not light switch power. It's good and smooth.
All right, Sam. I appreciate your help, and good luck racing this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, I'm Phil Pruitt. They're having a little dinner here at Redbud with some steaks and veggies, salads, and all that kind of stuff. So I thought I'd come in and see a few guys and ask Phil how his day went.
It was a decent day. A couple mechanicals. I had a intake bolt back out and a brake pedal fall off. But second motos were decent. A couple near crashes, but that's part of riding vintage bikes. But yeah, overall it was, a great experience. The track's marvelous, and the facilities are insane. So it was great.
So as much trouble as you had today, still better than a day at work?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And that's Oscar from VMXQ&A and at Redbud, and I'll see you at the next race.
Great job on the coverage by Oscar Gayton. Thanks again, Oscar. What's it worth segment tonight, which is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. We'll take a look at a 1984 Yamaha YZ250L that recently sold on eBay. This is the segment of the show where we encourage you to put into the comment section what you think this bike actually sold for. Now, it was sold in Connecticut on July 4th, 2021. And a lot was done to this bike. I'm going to read through the list of things that were refinished while Jordan goes through some of the pictures. The frame has been powder coated, so is the radiator. The bolt hubs, the pipe has been ceramic coated, and the shock spring has been powder coated as well. The engine had a complete rebuild, top end and bottom. All the seals bearing, the crank were rebuilt. It has been bored over. The clutch plates, the spring, everything you would expect in a rebuild was done on this bike, and all the work was performed by Ken O'Connor Racing. It has new aluminum radiators. The rear shock and reservoir were rebuilt by Steve Matson at Suspension Systems. The forks have new bushings, seals, O-rings, and oil Schrader valves. The linkage is all new and has seals and bushings. The controls, it has new handlebars, grips, levers, original throttle, which is rebuilt, and all new cables. It has a new seat cover. All the plastic and decals were replaced. Buchanan has supplied brand new rims, and they are Suns. It has conventional spokes, Z spokes for the front, new tires, tubes, and rim guards. Everything throughout the wheels were new, rebuilt, including the bearings and steel. It's got new sprockets and chain guard. It's got a new chain, and all the hardware is new, OEM, wherever possible, and it was replaced or it was replated. Loctite was used extensively throughout, and it's got a new Clark tank, a new petcock, new fuel filters, a new DG pipe, new springs and seals and silencer, and as you can see, this bike was really, really assembled very, very well from the looks of the picture. Everything looks new on the bike. The hardware was either new or maybe some of it was replated, but a very well put together bike and all rebuilt. 1984 YZ250L. What do you think this bike sold for? $4,500? $5,500. This bike sold for $6,900. $6,900 on July 4th in Connecticut. It's a fair price for a bike that's had all that work done to it. I'm not really sure if 1984 was Yamaha's best era. Hondas were doing pretty good back then. Suzuki's were really, really good too. $6,900, somebody thought it was worth the money. And for the platform bike and the time and money invested, I think $6,900 was a fair deal. I just might have gone somewhere else with my $6,900 bucks. How about you? Would you have paid $6,900 for it? Or would you have gone somewhere else and spent your $7,000 bucks elsewhere? Comment on that. Let's see what you got to say. Full Circle Racing, we still got that great special going on for powder coating hubs. Get them up to Tom McAllister, whether it's lacing, spokes, screwing, the hub deal that he's got going on, and all the other services that Tom McAllister offers. Get a hold of him at Full Circle Racing Limited. Have you ever heard of, brought to you by Sunrise Vapor Blasting, have you ever heard of a Powerdyne? You ever heard of a Powerdyne? Powerdyne Vehicles, also known as PDV, produced several motorcycles in the early 70s, nearly all of which were copies of something else that was already on the market. The PVD Gringo was a knockoff of the Yamaha motocross bike, and the engines, of course, Yamaha, but the frames look just like Champion frames. The story is that PDV was put out of business by Champion for copying their frames. Now, I do believe there was a big dust-up over what they were doing with their engines, too. They looked exactly like Yamaha engines. Anyway, the Gringo was built for just 2 years, and there claims to be only 112 of these bikes that were ever built. They were built at 125, 250, and 360 engine. Some of the highlights of the bike did include a 5-speed transmission, Bader forks, and shocks, and they claimed the weight to be only 215 pounds, which was really competitive for that time. Powerdyne claimed the bikes that were actually built in Rhode Island. I don't think all the parts were built in Rhode Island. They may have been assembled there, but I think a lot of it was done in Taiwan. Kind of popular among the collectors. I know my friend from Australia, Steve Bysouth, is a PDV Gringo guru, and he's got some, but there is not much information on the Gringo simply because the Powerdyne company was not around very, very long. But anyway, next time somebody asks you if you ever heard of a Powerdyne or a PDV, you can tell them, yeah, you heard about it. Sunrise Vapor Blasting, still the best guy in the business when it comes to getting parts clean, whether it's aluminum, metal, any kind of material like that. It could be for a motorcycle, a plane, a car, a bus, or something very, very delicate that you would have to be cleaned and not change the profile of the metal. Get a hold of Mark Farriester at Sunrise Vapor Blasting. We've been sending him stuff lately. He's been sending it right back in a timely fashion, and you can't beat the price. Mark Farriester and Sunrise Vapor Blasting. We're going to take a commercial break. Don't forget to keep sharing the show. When we do return, we will have tonight's winner of the random share giveaway.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vinco knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vinco, keep the ride going.
Tonight's random share giveaway winner is Jim Conquest. Jim Conquest, if you're still watching the show, get a hold of me, get us your address. You will win a gift, compliments of, I don't know who yet. It could be Vinco, it could be Motion Pro. We're going to get you something together, get it in a box for you, and we'll get it out to you. Jim Conquest, you are tonight's random share giveaway winner. This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X, available on your newsstand and online right now. Don't forget to see our ad in the back of Racer X. This Week in Motocross History, Heikki Mikkola becomes the 500cc world champion in 1974 at the final round of the FIM World Championship. Finland's Heikki Mikkola won his first world title, finishing 1-6 in mud, ending his rival Roger de Coster's career of 3 win streaks. The winner of the race was Belgium's Jake van Veldhoven on a Yamaha. The championship would mark Husqvarna's last of many in the FIM's 500cc World Championship category until Jackie Martin's in 1993. So yeah, Heikki Mikkola becomes world champion that day in 1974. In 1976, Roger de Coster, the last of 5. Roger clinches his 5th FIM 500cc Motocross World Championship by just 2 points over his countryman and Suzuki team, not his countryman, because Roger's from Belgium and Gerrit Wolfsink is not. Anyway, but they did both ride for Suzuki at the series-ending Grand Prix of Luxembourg, also in Edelbrock, just like it was with Heikki's race in the last segment. Anyway, the man finished 4th in the second moto to just edge out Wolfsink, who went 2-2 on that day. KTM rider Jake van Veldhoven gave its brand its first 500cc Grand Prix win by sweeping both motos, but it was Roger de Coster taking his 5th and final world championship on that day. And of course, in 1982, August 8th, in Luxembourg, again, at the final round of the 82 FIM 500cc World Motocross Championship, it was Brad Lackey who completed his 10-year crusade to become America's first world champion by finishing 2-3 at Edelbrock that day aboard the Stig Peterson-tuned RN82 Works bike, and he just clinched the title away from his teammate Belgium's Andre Vromans. It marked the first time a U.S. rider was ranked number 1 in the world, beating Danny Laporte to the epic milestone by just 3 weeks. Danny Laporte, of course, was a 250cc world championship that year, 1982. Same year as Brad, but 3 weeks later. And that's what happened in motocross history, 74, 76, and 1982. In the announcement section tonight was brought to you by Golan Products. You've been hearing me talk about Golan filters for months now. Why? Because it's the greatest filter you're ever going to buy, and it's the last filter you're ever going to buy. It's made of billet aluminum, comes in blue, silver, orange, and red, can be cleaned indefinitely anywhere on the trail or at home. They're looking for distributors. Get a hold of them at golanpro@yahoo.com. Golan Products. Vintage Motocross Radio. I had a great interview the other night, Monday night, with Grant Langston. Grant Langston, 5-time national champion and 125cc world champion. An incredible speaker with some great stories. Grant, of course, a commentator for the Whiskey Throttle Show, also NBC Sports, where he does the Lucas Outdoor Nationals. And nobody can tell a story quite like Grant. I got a nice soundbite for you right here.
And we go to this quarry, and I'm not joking. We're doing a 40-minute moto, like, my dad's putting his lap time, my lap time, and we're doing like 3:30 was like our best, but we're doing like 3:31s, 3:32s. Stefan Everts was doing 2:58s, 2:59s.
Wow.
I swear. And I said to my dad, I go, there's no way. I go, he's obviously doing a different track, because there was a part where the quarry went through the trees.
Yeah.
So I swear, I went out. I'm like, I'm going to go and see where, not where he's cut the track, but where we're riding along a loop. And I walked around, and I could not find where he was cutting the track. And I came back, but now I'm walking, so I come back. I'm like, what was his lap time? So I watched him, and I'm like, he looks decent. Didn't look phenomenal. Oh, he just did a 2:57 at the end of his 45-minute moto. I'm like, no. Like, yeah, look. And everyone's holding this stuff. I'm like, how? I try to follow him. It was the biggest, just mind-blowing moment. I'm like, he's not riding the same part of the track that I am. I'm in every hole, and he's going on top or skipping over the big holes and landing in the pockets and all that. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, I'm doing everything wrong. Yeah. Like, but then you realize, all right, well, I'll just do what he does, which is easier said than done. Then you realize, I have to carry a hell of a lot more corner speed and be launching the bike mid-turn to get into that pocket where he's at. But then once you got that, it was like the track was totally different. And anyway, it was just an incredible moment. It was, I have a ton of respect for the Evans family. They were, super nice and helpful. Harry did a lot for me in my career, and he helped keep my head up when I was down.
You with Grant Langston went for almost 2 hours, kind of a rags to riches story with a lot of ups and downs in his life. Talked about his time at Yamaha, KTM, and so much more. And of course, his amazing dad, Gerald. This week, there is no show on Vintage Motocross Radio, but I will be announcing my next guest in the coming week or so. So stay tuned to Vintage Motocross Radio. I'll tell you who our next guest is going to be. There's a big race coming up, and it is this weekend at Washougal. Who doesn't want to ride the famous Washougal track? It's coming up this weekend, August 13th through the 15th. And there's a class for everybody, from the minis to the moderns. There's camping going on. There's just so many things happening this weekend at the VMX race at Washougal MX Park. Visit them online. You'll find out more about what's happening there. In fact, it's already Wednesday. If you're going to be at Washougal, you're probably going to be leaving tomorrow. Washougal, this weekend, big race. There's another one coming up right here in Northern California on August 22nd. This is in Marysville. And if you're familiar, this is the AHRMA track. It is part of the original Standard Motocross group. We went there last year, Georgia and I. We covered the race. I'm going to try and get up there this year again. But it is an AHRMA Northwest regional race. It's sponsored by Cycle Gear and Race Tech. There's always a lot of great people up there and a lot of fun. It's for 2 days. So if you have a way to get there, get up to Marysville, August 22nd. Coming up. Be here before you know. Can you wait? Can you wait for Hangtown? It's exactly 1 month away. September 11th, it'll be the last national of the year. So keep your eyes on the points race with the pros, because the championship could be decided up there at Hangtown on September 11th. That is in Prairie City. And Carson City Motorsports is helping out with that. And I've got my tickets. I'm ready to go. I've got a room at the Hampton Inn. I'll be up there on Friday night. And I'm looking forward to that race on Saturday, September 11th. Hangtown. Thanks, Kevin Bridges, for what you do for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A and Vintage Motocross Radio. Big race coming up in Jersey. I've been telling you about it down at the Field of Dreams. AHRMA and American Classic Racing are teaming up to bring you this event. It's the 15th, 16th, and 17th. There's an open practice. There's a Grand Prix. There's classes for everybody. There's a barbecue. There's a bike show. All kinds of things going on for 3 days in the Field of Dreams. Beautiful time to be down in South Jersey, October 15th, 16th, and 17th. SoCal Vintage Classic. Scott Burnworth, always putting on a great event. That's coming up October 16th. It will be the second running of the annual Marty Smith Memorial Cup as well. Always a good race put on by the Burnworths with a lot of free swag and a lot of people having a really, really good time there at Glen Helen. Finish line. Brought to you by Northwest Mako CZ. This week, the Northwest Mako CZ special is a case splitter, just $45. This is for your CZ. Now, if you've never tried or ever tried to split cases on a CZ, you're not going to do it unless you have this tool. It's the best $44 you're ever going to spend. If you got a CZ and you're going to keep it, someday you're going to need to split that case, you're going to need this tool. So get over to their website, northwestmacocz.com. Get yourself a case splitter for just $44. Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirts and hoodies are still available, just $19.99 for the t-shirt. They come in gray and white, a couple of bucks more. You get yourself one, you get yourself a hoodie for just a few bucks more. Also in gray and white with the logo across the front and our signature across the back. Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirts. Sponsorship opportunities are still available. You could be seeing the results the same way all of our sponsors, Motion Pro, Vinco, Preston Petty Products, you know them all. They've been on with us for over a year and people are renewing. Now, this month, we hit an all-time high. An all-time high. We generally go, well, you'll see it right here. Over 80,000. 80,000 people we reached in a month with over 23,000 people being engaged in all of our posts. That's likes, comments, shares. It's just going really, really, really well. And I would encourage you, if you have a business that you would like to get on the air here at Vintage Motocross Q&A, drop me an email into my inbox. Get a hold of me. I'll get you a sponsorship proposal package. It isn't very long. It isn't very complicated. You're going to know right away. We'll put something together that fits your budget. Be a good time to get on the show and reach 8,000 people a month. I don't think you can buy that kind of advertising anywhere. Anyway, I want to thank all of our viewers tonight for tuning in to the show. Don't forget, there is no Vintage Motocross radio show this weekend, but we'll have something coming up for you in the very, very near future. Okay? Thanks for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you next week on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Gino! Gino! Oh, wait. Gino, where are you, boy? Gino! Come on, man. Come on, Gino. Come on.